Hey everybody, my name is Justin. Thanks for tuning into my channel. I'd like to thank everyone, veterans past and present, wish them a happy Veterans Day. It's Veterans Day 2021. Alright, so I'd like to say hi to all the subscribers. My OG subscriber, Tyson Hughie. If you like Honda and Acura content, go check out his channel on YouTube. Also, all my friends from driveaccord.net, all my DA friends, hi to everybody. I've got a friend, Tim, on there, has a blog. He also does a lot of car content focused on high mileage things, just like our car. And it's theopenroadahead.com, so you can go check that out as well. So, all right, so I've been behind the camera until now. So this channel, what you're not going to see is stuff like street racing. There's enough channels of that on YouTube and things like that. But the real star of our show is the 2003 Honda Accord behind me. That's got currently 872,000 miles on it, going for $1 million. Hopefully we'll have that sometime late in 2022. So didn't start out with goals of having a $1 million mile car. Every time we reached past a milestone like 200, 300, 400,000, just kept realizing how special the car is and how well it's performed. And so initially it started out its life as just a regular family car, and then in 2015 I started doing deliveries with it, courier service, and had about 185,000 since, or at that time, and then now it's got, like I said, 872. So I've put on almost 700,000 miles in the past 6 years. So that's what most of my content is going to focus on. Maybe you found the channel through a video that I had about the Kicker Hideaway sub. Yeah, actually one of my best videos for views is about a powered subwoofer. But anyhow, so part of the fun of the car is trying to keep track of how long things last and things like that. So for today I came up with a list of 6 different things that I had absolutely no luck with for aftermarket, or just didn't even try based on how well the OEM parts lasted. Okay, and I'll just say in the beginning here, if you don't know, there's lots of fake parts on eBay and Amazon. So even if it advertises that it's OEM parts, may be a fake. So there's been a lot of people have bought fake spark plugs on there and things like that. And also, you're never wrong to go with OEM parts. So some stuff you can save money on, go aftermarket, but the things that I'm going to talk about are things that I just personally have had no luck, or I'm going to pretty much swear by either OEM or the OEM supplier. All right, the first one's timing belt. So on the 7th generation V6, I've got a timing belt instead of a timing chain. It's got to be replaced on my car every 100,000 miles or 105,000 miles, or every 7 years. There's plenty of horror stories online of people that have got cheap timing belts, had them break, and then it's interference engine. So if it breaks on you, pretty much trashed your engine. So very, very important on these cars to go with a good timing belt and replace it at the proper interval. So for timing belts for me, I'm going to use the AISIN AISIN kit. They have an OEM water pump in there, and it's basically as close to the OEM kit as you can get. Last kit I got for that was from Summit Racing, and it was about $240. So if you find a kit that's really cheap, chances are it's got a really cheap timing belt. And like I said, there's plenty of horror stories of people that have bought cheap timing belts, and maybe it lasts 20 or 30,000 miles and it bursts or breaks, and then the engine's trashed. So don't want that. So the other thing I've had with mine is the shop that have replaced the timing belts was using Gates kits, and I had a problem with the hydraulic tensioner going bad after a while, so I'm going to only run AISIN from now on. All right, another part, CV axles, axle shafts in the front. So I got 442,000 miles out of my original axles. And so I replaced those with OEMs, and since I've got 872, I've got almost another 440, about 430,000 on the current ones, and they're still acting fine. It's going to be much better than your cheapies, remans from parts stores, things like that. So yeah, the OEM was a little bit more expensive, but if you can get 400,000 miles out of it, that's pretty darn good, obviously. So I'm only using OEMs on CV axles. All right, next, ball joints. All right, On these cars specifically, the lower front ball joint, very, very important part. I pulled out, here it is. It goes into the bottom of the knuckle up front there. This is a Moog. So my OEM ball joints lasted for 527,000 miles, all right? And then at that time, I took it to the shop. When the ball joint went bad, it was horrible sound, horrible metallic sound. It sounded like someone was beating on metal under the front of my car with a hammer. It was awful. I thought maybe it was a steering rack. So I took it to the shop and I was like, here, figured out, well, it was the ball joints. So they replaced them with Moog. Okay, so that was at 527. They replaced them with Moog one time, and then I think the first Moogs lasted, I don't know, 30, 40,000, something like that. They replaced them under warranty because they started going bad again, started squeaking and banging and stuff like that. Well, next set lasted a little bit longer, but anyhow, when the second set of Moogs went bad, at 684,000, I decided to just go with OEM, and I just did it myself. It wasn't anything that the shop did as far as that goes, but just the parts. Like, for whatever reason, the Moog lower ball joints for the cords are just garbage. And I'm not a Moog hater by any means. I've had Moog front end components and stuff on the car, and they've worked fine. But for whatever reason, the design of the lower ball joints is just not good for these cars. So at 684,000, I put OEMs back on there, and so now I've got, like I said, almost 900,000 on the car now. So I've put on another almost 200,000 miles on the current OEMs, and they're still acting completely fine. So spend the money on those, and you'll definitely be happy with that. All right, another thing, the belt tensioner, talking about the serpentine belt on the engine. So my original one started rattling real bad around 440,000. Went to AutoZone because I had one in stock, got the belt tensioner from them. Literally after a day or two, the thing started rattling again. So I took it back there, thought, well, maybe I just got a bad one off the shelf. So swapped it out, warrantied it out, put a new one on there, same thing. A few days later, starts rattling again real bad. Went back for a third time. So I put 3 AutoZone brand, whatever their brand was for that. Put 3 AutoZone belt tensioners on there, and they all acted up. So finally I just got my money back, and I went to Advance. And Advance is where I normally buy most of my parts for this car if they're not OEM. And Advance had the Dayco no slack belt tensioner. So I got one of those. After about a week or so, same story. Started rattling again, so I went back, warrantied that out. After the second one started acting up, I was like, I'm done with this crap. So I actually went to a junkyard locally, found a Honda V6 out there, pulled the belt tensioner off of there, and I think I may have had to replace a pulley or something, but put the belt tensioner on the car, and it's been completely fine ever since. So, that's got about another 400,000 miles on that one, plus, who knows how many miles the car had when it went to the junkyard. So the OEM ones definitely lasted. Now, as far as the pulleys go for the belt tensioner, the idler and tensioner pulleys, I've replaced those with parts store pulleys, and that works just fine. It's just for whatever reason, the actual belt tensioner itself, the spring in there, not good for aftermarket apparently. Just had no luck with it. Did get really good at switching out belt tensioners, obviously, though. All right, another thing, catalytic converters. So my OEMs lasted till just under 500,000. I've got written down 497,000 for that. At that time, decided to replace them with Dorman brand cats. They're a little bit cheaper. Went ahead and put them on there. I don't know, they lasted for a little while without an engine light on without the check engine light on for the low catalytic converter efficiency code, and then it popped up, and then I just could never get rid of that stupid code. I've got another video on how I finally solved that, which ultimately ended up being replacing the catalytic converters, but that video, if you want to check it out, if you're getting like the P0420 or P0430 on the V6, if you're getting those codes for low catalytic converter efficiency, then you can check out that video and look at all the different steps I went through. I tried literally everything I could think of, and it just did not work. So finally trashed those, went with Walker cats at 823,000. So I've got about 50,000 on those cats now, and they're still acting fine. But Walker's the OEM supplier, and they also advertise, advertise they have extra coating inside. It's supposed to keep you from having the check engine light come on. All right, so strongly recommend Walker cats for that. And then the last part I've got identified I wanted to talk about is the coil packs. Okay, so the coil packs that go on to the spark plugs. You know, old cars that had distributor cap and wires. Okay, well now the newer cars have the coil packs. All right, several different brands of those out there. So my car, when I was changing out the spark plugs one time, at the end of the coil pack where it attaches onto the spark plug, there's a plastic boot around the end of it, and just from sheer use and being in the heat for all those years and stuff, the plastic just, you know, cracked and crumbled and just was no good. So I decided to get new coil packs for the car. Went to Advance, my go-to store. Got CarQuest Premium coil packs for it. Put them on the car, and literally within a couple days the car was cutting out, throwing codes for misfires on all the cylinders, things like that. Put the original coil packs back on just to check it. Sure enough, it was the new coil packs were bad already. So for the few coil packs that the plastic had fallen apart on, I actually went to the local junkyard and looked at Honda V6s, scrounged some of the Hitachi coil packs, and put those on there. Car's been perfectly fine ever since. So for this car, for coil packs, I would only go with OEM. I mean, there's other brands out there. There's probably other people that have had fine luck with different brands, things like that. But just me personally, personal experience on this car, that's been mine, is that for coil packs, I'm going to only go with OEM for that as well. So other stuff coming up on the channel. I work a lot, so that's why I don't put out a whole lot of videos, but other stuff I'm going to do, you know, periodic mileage updates. There'll be a 900,000 mile update. I do have a borescope camera I bought that I'm going to you know, kind of probe around for the engine, inside the engine, like down spark plug holes, you know, oil pan, oil cab, just kind of look in there and kind of see, you know, what a nearly 900,000 mile engine looks like at that point. So I've got that planned. And then also, since I'm a courier, I want to talk sometime on video about my courier service experience, and like if you're thinking about trying to make money with your car, I'm going to talk about, you know, what my experience has been and talk about the pay and how it works and stuff like that. So if you're thinking about possible additional income, that might be useful to you as well. Like I said, the 900,000 mile update, maybe some other ones, little repairs here and there, things like that. And then the big one we got planned is once the car hits 1 million, our plan is to take it up to Ohio to the Honda Heritage Center, and I'd like to time it to where as I pull in there I hit all 9s on the odometer. So we'll see, but got some friends that are talking about meeting us there for the little party and everything. So that's the plan, and that should be sometime late in 2022. So those are all things that are upcoming for the channel. So appreciate y'all watching, and comments. You know, I didn't set out with, like I said, with goals of hitting 1 million miles in the car, but here we are, and I think it's pretty cool to document the journey and everything. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.